Now, from South Seminole Academy in Castleberry, Florida, direct from the third floor of building number 3, this is South Seminole News.
Are you a nerd about theater like I am? Do you know about shows like Les Mis, La La Land, Beetlejuice, or The Falsettos? Probably not, but it would be cool if you did. What about classical music? Know any Chopin, Liszt, Rachmaninoff, Grieg, Paganini, or even Vivaldi? Again, probably not. But I must say, even if you don't feel like you're interested in that stuff, you should still check it out. When I first got into this school 3 years ago, I thought all of that was cheesy. But after I really found out about it, I learned a lot about myself. Maybe you could too. That's all. Oh, and have a rad day.
I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. In what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. We will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. Let freedom ring, and when this happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
What's the name of our school? We need to listen to our hearts, right?
We should celebrate it because he deserved it. He risked his life for us to have a voice to speak up against racism.
Hello folks, my name's Chani and this is Nyada, and today we're just going to be asking each other some questions, I guess, so I'll start it out if you'd like. What's something people assume about you that isn't true?
A lot of people assume that I am emo because of how I dress and how I talk, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I can actually be a very happy person. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. And sometimes I'll take it as as a compliment because I like dressing dark, but then also I take it as an insult because that's a little rude towards me, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay, my first question. Who is your favorite classical music composer?
All right, that's a tough one. So I'm really into the piano classical thing. My boyfriend's actually the one that really got me into it, and so I've been listening to a lot of Liszt and Grieg. Sure you don't know them?
I actually do because of my sister.
Oh, that's
my sister
awesome.
Loves classical music.
Yeah.
Mainly piano.
But I play piano as well, but I think Liszt and Grieg have great ways of performing, and they're really different, but I don't know. I think they're really fun to listen to, and they can also be very emotional, and it's hard. For like violin though, Paganini, oh man, it's so good. It's so good. I get hyped on that. All right. What's a phrase you think people say too much?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have two friends, Olivia and Jordan. They constantly say, "I'm sorry." I could say, "You're the best person ever," and they're like, "I'm sorry." Like,
I fall guilty to that one.
I say I'm sorry when it's needed to say I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but like, if I know I don't need to say sorry, I'm not gonna say it. Like, somebody demands me to say sorry, I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm not.
Yeah. Hey man, as long as you say it, and you did say it, even if they demanded it.
What do you do for fun at home?
Well, I do like to talk to my internet friends whenever I have the time, but I do a lot of art. I have a lot of digital art that I do, and I also have a sketchbook of stuff. I make characters and draw whatever. And I talk to people, and I walk my dog.
You have a dog.
Yes. Oh, whenever I play piano, he sings.
Oh,
It's so cute. It's the best.
what kind of dog is it?
I think he's like a mix or like a mutt or something like that.
Okay.
This is my question. I
yeah.
forgot we had to do that. If you could define your clothing style, how would you describe it? Hey, that's perfect.
I would describe it as it's a little difficult. Most of the time, especially at school, very darks and not trying to not blend in with everybody because I'm not a very. I try to stay away from people.
So you do try to blend in, not
Sort of.
yeah. Okay.
Yes. I don't
I'm the
know.
exact opposite.
No.
Clearly. To stand out very much.
No.
I am very tall with these shoes, haha. But
But not at school. I would say my style is very fun and social,
yeah,
kind of.
I like that.
I can't do that at school. No, I can't stand people.
Yeah,
I can't stand children my age or older.
I understand.
It's
that.
funny because I get along better with adults than I do with other children.
Oh, same. I totally get that. I totally understand. that.
Okay, that's my last question. Oh, I turned off my phone. Okay, what is the biggest regret you have ever made? Thanks, Kalina.
This one is kind of like difficult because I don't know. I had a lot of trouble and trauma when I was younger, and I kind of wanted to. Now this might get a little emotional here, haha. But when I was like in 6th and 7th grade, so like the last few years, even in elementary school, I would just talk about my traumatic experiences, and I would act as if it was like I wanted to be a victim in the situations. And that's really not smart. That's something you should keep private unless you really feel the need to talk to someone about it. And I really, really regret that because people see me as something that I'm not anymore. And I've changed a lot over the quarantine and whatever, as everyone has said, but I really do feel like I made a mistake doing that to myself and to other people because that gave them a false idea of who I am. And that's really, like, that's detrimental to, like, my head. Like, it screws with me. I just don't like when people refer to me as something that I'm not.
It's funny because when people ask me that question, I'm like, the biggest regret, the thing I regret the most. Let me go back and think of all the things I've done.
Yeah.
I have done a lot, but I think the thing I regret the most is that's hard to say. There's a lot of things.
Yeah, I
I
understand.
don't know. I couldn't pick. There are many things. I think the thing I regret the most is not being as social as I naturally am and not being as kind as I am because a lot of people following to I think it was your first question, a lot of people think I'm mean and tough. I am really not.
Yeah.
I'm a softie. I'm very kind.
Me too.
Once you get to know me, it'll take you 15 minutes to get to understand me and we'll be good friends. But I have always put on a tough face because I've had a lot of rude people in my life, especially when I was younger. Because I'm not from Florida, so when I came here to Florida, I was very shy and kept to myself.
Yeah.
So people would like to mess with me about that.
I understand that.
And if you were to compare me now from when I was little back in Michigan to me now, I am a complete different person.
Yeah.
Which is very funny because my parents say that all the time. They're like, "You're not the same little girl I know." I'm like, good.
Good. Yeah, I've noticed that I actually used to do that a lot too. Like I would just express something that was just false. And in reality, I would act all tough, but in reality I'm just really kind of sad sometimes, and I'm really weak in a lot of situations that I wish I was strong in. And so that's what I've been doing a lot of this quarantine, just having a lot of self-work, just trying to get myself better and being a better person and trying to handle situations better. But yeah.
Well, I think that concludes our part of the Friday show.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching that. Cool.
Thank you.
Bye.
Awkward out.
The National Civil Rights Museum is located at the Lorraine Motel. The Lorraine Motel was built in the 1920s, and in 1945, Walter and Lori Bailey purchased the motel and renamed it the Lorraine after Mrs. Bailey and the Nat King Cole song Sweet Lorraine. So in 1968, Dr. King was here to support the sanitation workers' strike and had come to lead a nonviolent march to demonstrate the workers' humanity in support of the sanitation strike. And he was tragically killed on the balcony of room 306 at 6:01 p.m. on April 4th, 1968. The year they walked, the Montgomery bus boycott. In this gallery in the museum, what's compelling is when visitors come in, they'll notice that it's dominated by women, and that was not an accident. The success of the Montgomery bus boycott was due to the work of women, and that there were many women like Rosa Parks who were arrested for taking a seat and standing up for equality. Rosa Parks was more than the woman who said no. A lot of people limit her to that particular moment. But she was involved in the NAACP in Alabama for years. She decides to take a stand, and she is arrested on the bus. And so you'll see in this exhibit that we have 3 statues, and they're very lifelike, and the statues appear to be in motion, because that's what those women did. They walked to and from work for over a year. The sit-in movement is one of the more known movements of the civil rights time period. A lot of people think that it was just a simple thing that these students did, that they were 18 to 24 years old and they go in and they sit at the lunch counter and they just simply resist. The reality is that it's human nature to want to push back when someone pushes you or defend yourself when you are physically attacked. So in this gallery, we show footage from the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee being trained by Reverend James Lawson. These people had to be trained in nonviolent direct action. Also in this gallery, we highlight the different students involved, and a lot of people are surprised to learn that most of these folks who are participating in the sit-ins are 18 to 24 years old. A defining moment for the civil rights movement is the Memphis sanitation strike. On February 12, 1968, about 1,300 sanitation workers came together and walked out of their jobs and went on strike. So Reverend James Lawson, who had been a part of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, was now a pastor in Memphis and led the sanitation workers. So for weeks, they would meet at Claiborne Temple, African Methodist Episcopal Church here in Memphis, and walk from there to City Hall to demand their rights. So Dr. King hops in a cab, goes over to Mason Temple, and there he delivers his final speech, known as the Mountaintop Speech, where he talks about his work for the Poor People's Campaign and he reflects on his life and legacy. That was the last public moment of Dr. King. He would be killed tragically on the balcony of room 306 on April 4th, 1968. And the country and the world wept and reacted at the loss of a nonviolent civil rights and human rights activist.